is Real 2041 refers to a fictional, made-up character colloquially referred to as Luigi that emerged in forums in the early 2000s. Nintendo has never endorsed this character officially, although he had a small cameo appearance in the game Luigi's Mansion. Space World 95 Beta refers to Nintendo's team-up with NASA in an attempt to make aliens play Super Mario 64. After the launch, the entire team behind the experiment went completely silent. One of the main pilots, during an interview, later claimed that "I have seen Luigi, and he has abandoned us," before dying instantly. Parallel universes refers to the time Nintendo opened a vortex by throwing a copy of Super Mario 64 into the Large Hadron Collider. Half a press. This entry refers to the rumor of a secret button in the Nintendo 64 controller that can register half an input. One time, someone was able to locate it with a microscope and prod it while playing Super Mario 64, to which Mario's eyes started bleeding. The level went grayscale, and Mario started going, "Wahoo, I love a Satan," over and over, while bleeding and killing Goombas realistically. Roughly a minute afterward, Nintendo's lawyers broke into the individual's house and took the game, citing it was an anomaly, and Mario's M in the hat was asymmetrical. Womp Fortress Tower 1-up. In the Womp Fortress Tower level, it's said that there is a 1-up that is yet to be discovered. Rumors on how to obtain this 1-up range from punch the bottom of the tower to punch the bottom of the tower, and even some claiming that you have to punch the bottom of the tower. Bob-omb Battlefield Bridge Hanging refers to the hanging that took place on 7/5/1963 in the Bob-omb Battlefield's Bridge, where the dictator known as Sir Bartholomew II was overthrown by the La Bomba army and executed by public hanging. Impossible Coin / Goomba. This is actually a hybrid of two separate entries. Impossible Coin refers to the Impossible Coin Challenge that went viral back in 2015, resulted in approximately 200,000 deaths. Impossible Goomba refers to how a Goomba was proven to be scientifically impossible to exist in real life. How this was proven was through a series of extremely unethical experiments performed on mushroom animal hybrids. Big Boo Unused Text. The game has an unused string of text for Big Boo, where he tells Mario to, quote, "fuck off and eat shit." Mario would then have made a middle finger gesture towards Big Boo, and the fight would have begun. The reason this was cut is because the animation of Mario flipping off Big Boo played incorrectly, so when Miyamoto was testing the game, he thought Mario flipped him off, and he started to cry, subsequently refusing to eat or show up for work for several days. Miyamoto has stated in an interview that he still has nightmares about the time Mario flipped him off. Mirror Room. The Mirror Room in Super Mario 64 has always been tied to mysteries. One rumor, which turned out to be true, is that if you go in the Mirror Room and say Bloody Mary 3 times, nothing will happen. Dancing Flowers. Super Mario 64 was meant to have smiley face dancing flowers, but they were cut out as they were deemed dangerously silly and mischievously goofed up. When you look at these little fellas, you could really see where the developers were coming from. They are as silly as they are little and small. Volcano blocks. Inside the volcano, where one finds the power star for the Hot Foot It Into the Volcano episode of Lethal Lavaland, there is a strange arrangement of metallic blocks that can be seen around the star. This is extremely odd, as Minecraft had not even been released when Super Mario 64 came out. Blarg. The enemy known as Blarg from Super Mario World was intended to be within Super Mario 64. However, it was cut out due to a minor issue when its hitbox was not working correctly, and also broke out of the game and killed several developers. Yoshi's Saddle. Another feature that was cut. In this instance, due to concerns with a conflict with the last remaining cowboy village, they claimed that the Yoshi ritual, if completed, will bring about disastrous consequences. They also stated that we will not hesitate to use severe force to stop it. Yeehaw. The Big Dud. In one of Super Mario 64's early prototypes, there appears to have been a subtle reference to The Simpsons, an American animated TV show. The reference in question was a gag in a specific episode where the Simpson family and their son's friend Milhouse play a board game known as Mystery Date. They notice that one of the game's characters, the Dud, looks like Milhouse. This was cut for unknown reasons, possibly licensing issues. Jolly Roger Bay, Vanishing Fog. The fog is coming. Secret Aquarium. This entry refers to how Nintendo headquarters in Japan has a secret aquarium where employees make a wish and then throw in a copy of their most hated game within. Nintendo is extremely secretive about the process and how it works, so everything is speculation at best. But it is known that the Secret Aquarium stage in Super Mario 64 is a reference to such a place, and that almost every game thrown into it is a copy of Sticker Star for the Nintendo 3DS. Most employees have claimed that Paper Mario Sticker Star is the original sin. E.T. in Pyramid refers to how there's a bugged fire texture. The fire texture, as it is known, had to be replaced at some point during development with a worse one, due to the fact that it was so realistic, people thought their screens caught on fire, and Nintendo lost nearly $2 million in fire extinguisher costs every month until the fire texture was replaced. Please walk quietly in the hallway. This entry refers to how Mario should shut the fuck up. Moving on. Unagi's Tunnel. In one of the builds of Mario 64, which will be talked about later, you could go up the eel's asshole. It was a really revolutionary feature, but sadly, all the stars taking place up the eel's rectum had to be replaced with some bullshit unfinished course known as Wet Dry World to make overseas release possible. MIPS throwing. That's right. You were originally able to throw the stupid piece of shit rabbit into a wall. Sadly, secret PETA agents snuck into the development team's hideout in Saudi Arabia the day before release and secretly removed it, rendering MIPS completely pointless. Hazy Maze Cave Alcove. There's an area in the star Watch Out for Rolling Rocks within Hazy Maze Cave, where Mario enters Hollow Earth and has a 2-hour-long boss fight with Dory. It was removed because it made the level impossible to complete in 0 A-presses, which upset Miyamoto greatly, as every level is intended to be completable without jumping. Jolly Roger Bay Box. So, according to the sources for this entry, Super Mario 64 was intended to have the very first microtransactions in all of video gaming. Believe it or not, you could speak to a toad in Jolly Roger Bay, and he would give you personalized information for a Nintendo contact point, where you could mail your money, and in return they would give you a box full of assorted plushies and mouse pads and stuff like that. The problem was that the Nintendo contact points got seized by drug lords, who started using them for drug trafficking. And also, the system didn't work, and also they forgot to put the toad in the game. Yellow cap switch. So, originally, there was a yellow cap switch which, when enabled, would allow you to have played as Wario. However, the idea was scrapped as the Nintendo 64 was not yet powerful enough to correctly render Wario's ass cheeks, something which obviously was deemed completely unacceptable. Broken paintings. This is a common misconception. People think there's some unenterable paintings in the castle, when really it's Mario that can't enter them. You can actually enter them just fine if you're playing as Luigi or as Solid Snake. Ghoul medal. Alright, picture this. You're a kid playing Super Mario 64. You enter Big Boo's haunt and read something about a ghoul medal, and for whatever reason, you think it's a completely real thing that just hadn't been found yet, instead of a silly pun on gold medal. You insist on this so much that it winds up on an iceberg about the game. Well, you're in luck. You can actually obtain this medal by killing Big Boo 500 times in a row, running 24 laps around the ghost house, unplugging the controller, plugging another controller, transferring plastic style controllers only. This does not work with solid plastic controllers. Killing Big Boo 500 more times, deleting your save file, getting 120 stars of save files in 10 hours, and kicking the ass lunches 3 times. Nobody has proof of this because the CIA has a censor that stops images of the ghoul medal from being uploaded on the internet. This is real, I swear. This is Womp King turns into the castle. This entry refers to a specific clip in Season 3, Episode 3 of Mario and Luigi, where there's a moment that turned Womp King into a viral sensation. In the clip, there's a castle that says, "Turn around, Mario, the payoff is huge." Before Mario, hesitating, turns around and realizes that Womp King has turned into a castle. "I turned myself into a castle, Mario. I'm Castle Womp." Mario then sighs and starts bleeding hyper-realistic blood. Creepiest shit I've ever seen. How Bowser got into the castle with his sub. This entry is referring to the fact that it's unlikely Bowser managed to enter the castle with the Subway sandwich he was carrying, a meatball sub with grapes, as the castle security is infamously strict with allowing food in, and they would especially not have allowed such a leaky sandwich. Mario enters Wet Dry World early in Got Milk commercial. This is referring to a milk commercial where Mario enters Wet Dry World with less stars than is normally possible. The commercial was made this way on purpose, to showcase kids that the power of the calcium in milk is equal to that of the power stars. Also, none of the footage in the advertisement was CGI. Mario just did all that. Wet Dry World Skybox. Have you ever noticed that the Wet Dry World has a box of floating water in its sky? Well, that's actually a reference to map 25 of Doom 2. Pretty neat, huh? What if I told you that these two cubes are actually warp portals that link to each other, linking Super Mario 64 and Doom 2 together? You'd think I'm full of bullshit and lying, right? Well, that's because I am. Moving on. But before we move on, it's time to talk about today's sponsor, Nothingly. Nothingly delivers premium air every month straight to your door. You take a quiz telling them what kind of air you like, and they ship your favorite air to your house. This month, they're shipping premium air imported from Japan. Wow! I love Japan! And you will too with this air! And now, they're offering a free trial where you use code BALLS for 1% off. Big Boo's Haunt Forest. Have you ever played Slender, the 8 pages, and thought, wow, this forest sure is familiar? Well, that is because it actually takes place in the forest from Big Boo's Haunt. Think about it. Also, did you know that Mark Hadley, the creator of Slender, the 8 pages, actually composed a massive amount of music for Homestuck? All of these things have to do with Slenderman's influence. You see, he's rather a fan of Homestuck. True locations of painting worlds. The paintings all over Princess Peach's castle are actually warps to different parts of Catalonia, with the exception of Snowman's Land, which takes place in Taured. Haunted dirt texture. As is infamously known, Nintendo spent the first 2 years of development solely on the dirt texture, before even starting work on anything else. Work on said texture was so extensive that Nintendo went radio silent for these 2 whole years, the Nintendo Dark Age, as everyone in the studio was solely focused on it. This dirt texture was so refined and perfect that it has been observed causing subtle paranormal effects. Later versions of Super Mario 64 came with a warning to turn off the game if the ground starts talking to you. Zelda 64 beta assets in Wet Dry World. This is a common misconception. They're not Zelda 64 beta assets, they're Metal Gear Solid alpha assets. You see, when adding Solid Snake as a playable character, they accidentally left in a leftover model of the character Otacon inside one of the houses in Wet Dry World, who then turned into a door. Removed courses. This entry referred to how, originally, Peach was going to cook a full meal for Mario. But the entree got burnt, and the main course got all fucked up because she tried some weird hipster gluten-free garbage. So the only thing that came out well was the cake. Skyboxes are photographs. I mean, what else would they be? Do you think people would just make shit up? Mario 64 is a Freemason initiation. So, have you ever seen the star shrine in the castle courtyard and told yourself, geez, I wonder what's up with that? Of course you have if you're watching this video. The star shrine's text, if you squint really hard and don't think about it too much, says, "The time capsule beneath this stone contains messages and memorabilia to the people of the Mushroom Kingdom in 2020. And that it's commissioned by the New Luigi Order. It was later found that the Freemasons are actually a cult to Luigi, and the Illuminati stuff is just a cover-up." Secret slide, dimensional rift. Have you ever come across what was a weird off-pixel in the princess's secret slide? There's actually 10 of them. And when you ground pound them in order, this is extremely hard as you have to go up the slide to do so, a portal appears which sends you to 3 short desert stages with a boss, 1 sewer stage, 3 short scrapyard stages with a boss, 1 sewer stage, 3 short scrapyard stages with a boss, a crystal cave stage, 3 short ice stages with a boss, a laboratory stage, and 3 palace stages with a very hard boss. This small Easter egg was later subtly referenced in the 2015 video game Nuclear Throne, which is also a Freemason initiation. The end screen. If you press up, up, down, down, left, right, B, A, and start during the end screen, you'll hear a ring sound. Next time you boot up the game, Sexy Mode will be unlocked. Womp Fortress Interior. From the Mips Hole Wiki, Womp's Fortress interior is described as a cavern-like area made out of bricks, with several bottomless pits and boxes, as well as enemies such as Womps, Thwomps, Goombas, and Bob-ombs. A notable aspect of Womp's Fortress interior is that it reportedly has Womps that can be interacted with that tend to talk about the construction of the fortress, King Womp, and other secrets of the level. Just kidding, there's Waluigi inside of it. Cold, Cold Crevasse. This entry is talking about a hidden level which you can access by cheating on the penguin's race 50 times. After the 50th try, where you skip half the slide, she finally gets tired of your shit and puts you in a prison with all the other cheaters. To escape, you have to find Shigeru Miyamoto's head on a pike and destroy it before Siren Head Poppy Playtime.exe kills you. Yoshi commits suicide. This refers to that one time Yoshi changed his name to Good Night on Mushroom Cord and made his profile picture black, only to reveal 10 minutes later that he was just in a bad mood. Big Boo's secret laugh. There is a 1 out of 21 quadrillion, 481,729,481,729,481 chance that Big Boo goes tee-hee when you get hit by him. The only person to ever have experienced this in action exploded. Original resolution textures. The dirt texture was originally a much higher resolution and somehow looked even more perfect than it already is. However, it had to be shrunk down as its petrifying beauty was causing the development team to constantly cry and sob while playtesting and not get any work done. 120 has spiritual significance. 120 is the number of playable characters in the Binding of Isaac Repentance. Sound familiar? No? Okay. Rainbow Ride's Village. If you go inside the house of Rainbow Ride and turn off the lights, there is a 1 out of 64 chance that Uboa will spawn. Tower of the Wingcap true location. The Tower of the Wingcap is actually based off the White House, but the level designers forgot what it looked like. Bob-omb Village. Bob-omb Village is a secret level only accessible by obtaining all 120 stars without ever pressing the A button, and no other way. As explained earlier in this Iceberg, this challenge is completely intentional and possible, and the only reason people haven't done it yet is because they're bad at the game. Debug menu names. Nobody has any idea what Goatsy Land means, but it's rumored to be a very open level. Island in the distance. Super Mario 64 has floating islands off in the distance in the sky, an idea Terraria would shamelessly steal 15 years later. Lethal Lavaland painting Fireball. The Lethal Lavaland painting is based off a weird real-life paranormal event called fire that burns your hand if you touch it. The course in the Bowser painting. If you jump in the Bowser painting, you'll enter a secret level where you can obtain the laser suit, which is like a fire flower and feather combined. Ally with info. Related to the Jolly Roger Bay loot box, the Toads had roughly 400 paragraphs written about microtransactions before the cartel hijacking happened. Wet Dry World negative emotional aura. You see, Wet Dry World was never supposed to be in the game. In its place were 6 stars taking place inside the asshole of Unagi the eel. The human brain simply knows this. This is why you feel that characteristic emptiness, perchance. The Wario Apparition, a content warning for sexual assault and also Wario. Did you know that Wario was based on the time Miyamoto walked into the wrong showing of a movie as a child and saw a rape scene? This is why Wario constantly says things like, "I'm a Wario, I'm gonna win," and why there's a fetus motif in his design. Metal Mario texture. Metal Mario's texture file is actually from a real burnt corpse. It's so cool! Keep it up, baby! Peach is behind the stained glass window. Why, who were you expecting? The fucking Tooth Fairy? Brain diagram. Wet Dry World is so unfinished, they left in the MK Ultra device. Epic fail! The Bowser Room. Have you never noticed that all these iceberg charts have like at least 2 tiers that aren't even like on the actual iceberg? Like, how does that work? Bowser broke the door. He offered to pay repairs though, so don't worry. The Forbidden Door refers to the door that's off limits due to repairs that are being paid by Bowser. Hazy Maze Cave entrance room is a sewer. No, it isn't. That's where all the toads keep their black sludge. The decompilation is censored. The Toad projection. This entry refers to the projector the toads have in the princess's room that they use to rewatch The Year Without a Santa Claus every Christmas. Silicon Graphics Curse. King Ramses placed a curse that destroyed Silicon Graphics, as they failed to return the slab. Full Omen Archives refers to some asshole called Omen over at Nintendo who lost a bunch of legal papers, eventually costing the company tons in fines and causing them to go bankrupt. Here's his address. Go fuck him up. Wiggler's body parts are used in Bowser fight. It's some weird BDSM shit. Don't think too much about it. Let's just go to the next entry. Toads literally trapped inside the walls refers to the "This Castle Has People in It" event that happened in 2016, where one toad went through the floor. I don't know why it's so low in this iceberg. Everyone knows about it. Well, why didn't you just talk about it earlier? Do you honestly think anyone actually cares about iceberg videos? You probably just have it in the background of playing like Minecraft or some shit. Shut up. September 29th, 1995 build. Do not research. The above build of the game had a cool Easter egg where the more you played, the more reality collapsed into itself. At first, the game would appear normal, and as you beat levels, the areas would get bigger and more desolate. Eventually, a really decorated door would appear, leading to a fleshy pink room with portraits on the walls, and leaving activated flesh mode, which switched all of the level's textures to hyper-realistic rotting flesh and made all the terrain into caves, and also locked you into place in real life and killed you if you attempted to quit the game. From that point on, the game became a maze where you would try to outrun Granny, a mysterious Nintendo character many believe to have come from some shitty mobile horror game. Granny would show you visions of your loved ones being boiled in liquid shit while gasping for air, all while hyper-realistically torturing Mario by forcing him to eat raw ground beef. There is rumored to be an exit to the maze, but everyone who tried to play it died in real life. This Easter egg was removed because of a slight RAM issue. Enchanted SC88 samples used in soundtrack. Koji Kondo confirmed in an interview that he crafted together a Roland SC88 with a broken hero sword in order to create a Terra Roland SC88, then used to create the soundtrack for Super Mario 64. If you put the game at full volume, giant green projectiles would come out of the speaker and kill you. The internal plexus of the castle. This entry refers to how Super Mario 64 would run at 60 frames per second natively, but Miyamoto really wanted to have Peach's pussy and womb be fully rendered at all times, so a compromise was made and the game runs at 30 frames per second as a result. You can see where he was coming from though, it was worth it. Get this man a true. Sequel was cancelled due to temporal leakage. When development on Super Mario 64 Episode 2 was started, every single clock in Nintendo headquarters started bleeding. Everyone brushed it off as a glitch until a countdown started on everyone's PC. The countdown ran down for 24 hours, after which it brought the studio and everyone working within it a day back in time. Since work was not getting done due to this small issue, the entire studio had to be put on quarantine, and the entire building was thrown into the ocean with everyone in it. The workers are eternally drowning in a time loop to this day. Luigi is there. Miyamoto stole Super Mario 64 from Argonaut. Argonaut, another company, had been creating a prototype for the absolutely perfect 3D movement for over 100 years, passed down from generation to generation. Miyamoto realized that he could shave the development time significantly if they were able to use their prototype. However, Argonaut disagreed. Not wanting to give up, Miyamoto went to Argonaut Studios in the middle of the day and just yelled, "Liminal space!" Very scary, and while every employee was frozen in fear, he just stole the prototype cartridge, which opened a boulder trap that later became the inspiration for Watch Out for Rolling Rocks. Shared nightmares. People have shared nightmares about Super Mario 64. This is due to the fact that Super Mario 64 is actually the scariest game of all time. Mario 64 is the scariest shit imaginable. I mean, seriously, look at Bob-omb Battlefield. Mortifying. Holy shit. I'm actually weeping and shaking looking at this. It's insane. Mario has a look of unspeakable malice and insanity. Delicious cake. This entry actually refers to a video Peach posted on YouTube in 2015 titled Delicious Cake featuring Red Toad, where she makes a cake out of her own hair and feeds slices to citizens in the Mushroom Kingdom as a prank, which sadly got taken down by Bowser. NFR cartridge differences. Super Mario 64 had a special, limited, and elusive collector's edition labeled Non-Functioning Reticle Checksum 2, build 121195, which had all 582 stars and 6 characters, as well as all features like fatalities and guns working normally. However, the game mistakenly detected piracy, which kicked off a different anti-piracy feature. Instead of the regular red screen with Mario's hyper-realistic eyes bleeding out and the jump scare, it would let you play the game as normal, but play the brown note constantly so that you're shitting yourself the whole way. This revolutionary feature didn't make it in due to the janitor team at Nintendo HQ going on strikes. Lavender Town and Polybius were cover-ups for Mario 64. No, they weren't. That's too far-fetched. Every copy is personalized. Nintendo of America actually made a pact with Satan, the King of Demons, to create every player's individual hell within the game. They then partnered up with the FBI and CIA, who then made MK Ultra as a cover-up for Super Mario 64. Have you ever struggled with the piece of shit star that you have to slide down a hill and lead the snowball into the snowman's head? Have you ever struggled with the annoying ass steep slope that always seems to be near a pit? Have you ever wanted to do an air kick but did a dive instead? Does Luigi unlock method just not work for you? Has a wall jump ever worked in the worst of times? No? You ever never even played the goddamn game? Go fuck yourself!